Today, I will recap Meiji Adventure of Sinbad. The story begins when the witches are shocked by the birth of a child blessed with a miracle. He is named Sinbad. He was born to a mother named Esra, while his father was named Badr. His father was a war hero who had brought victory to the Parthivia Empire. However, his body became disabled. He did not want to accept the gift and chose to live as a fisherman. As time went by, the situation on the battlefield began to reverse direction. The Parthivia Empire, which was once very prosperous, was no longer left with only radical groups who wanted to continue fighting. Anyone who did not want to join the war was considered an outcast. Sinbad and his father were trapped in a storm. Sinbad found a way to escape the storm. Knowing that, his father was sure that Sinbad had special powers. Once upon a time, Sinbad found a man lying near his house. Because he was injured, Badr allowed the man to stay in his house for a while. His name is Darius. Darius tells about an adventure in the outside world to Sinbad. Feeling interested in the outside world makes Sinbad want to adventure. However, the next day, it turns out that Darius is a spy from another country. He instantly made Sinbad a hostage. At that time, none of the residents wanted to help him, while Badr could only submit and beg for his son to be released. Because Darius doesn't want to let Sinbad go, Badr is forced to fight and kill him. Even though Badr had stopped Darius, he was still punished because he was considered to have helped a spy, so that Badr will be sent to the battlefield. Before going to the battlefield, he showed all the terrible wounds on his body. Seeing that made the citizens fear and realize how terrible the battlefield was. Several months later, news of Badr's death reached his family, and only his sword remained. After 9 years, the world experienced a big event, the appearance of a dungeon that contained tremendous power. That's why the Parthivia army and the Rime Empire wanted to conquer this power, but 10,000 troops still couldn't conquer the dungeon. Sinbad, who was 14 years old, was a strong child. He was able to fight armed robbers who disturbed the residents. Besides being strong, Sinbad also has good qualities like his father. He often helps people who are in trouble or need help. A rescued woman wants to give fruit to Sinbad, but suddenly there is someone in the barrel. He is a traveler named Yunan. After that, he also went along with Sinbad and lived in his house for a while. His mother, named Esra, was suffering from an illness. Knowing Yunan is a wanderer, Esra asks Yunan to guide Sinbad because Sinbad's dream is to travel around the world. Sinbad was beaten by the commander of the Parthivia army named Draggle because Sinbad refused to go into battle. Draggle explains that Sinbad and Esra will be punished if they don't obey orders to explore the dungeon. Yunan advises Sinbad to head to the dungeon because the king's power is in it. With that power, he can change the country or the world with his own hands. Hearing that made Sinbad move to conquer the dungeon. That night his mother gave Badr's previous sword to Sinbad, and she asked Sinbad to pursue all his dreams and desires. On the other hand, Draggle brought 100 troops to conquer the dungeon, and Sinbad told them that the power of the king in the dungeon belonged to him. He was not willing to give it to those who oppressed the people. After saying that, Sinbad immediately went to enter the dungeon. After arriving inside the dungeon, he saw an unusual sight that made him even more eager to explore. Meanwhile, the Parthivia warriors disappeared in an instant, but Sinbad saved Draggle, so only the two of them survived. Draggle was so stubborn that he didn't want to cooperate and did whatever he wanted. Draggle headed in front of the gate alone, but the gate wouldn't open unless they defeated the giant dragon. When Draggle was almost killed, Sinbad immediately saved him. Draggle was suddenly frightened and did not want to fight the dragon. Sinbad can make the right decisions in the right situations calmly. Once the dragon is defeated, they get 2 orbs to open the gate. After that, they faced various obstacles until they arrived at the treasure room. They met the Jinn of Wrath and heroes named Baal. Baal will give the power of the king to those who win the battle. Therefore they fight until someone falls. Sinbad's abilities are superior to Draggle's, so he can win the fight. Sinbad successfully conquered the dungeon and got the king's power and treasure. After Sinbad got out of the dungeon, the Parthivia troops ordered Sinbad to hand over the treasure and its strength. Yunan immediately helped Sinbad to use Baal's powers. Yunan escorted Sinbad back to his residence. Although his goal has been achieved, he immediately experiences a sad incident. Because his mother died of illness, Sinbad became famous throughout the empire because a 14-year-old boy could conquer a dungeon. Princess Serendine tries to attack Sinbad, but Sinbad easily defeats her. Sinbad threw her into a barrel by the ocean, and Sinbad went on an adventure around the world to become a king. Sinbad met a man fighting a giant monster, but the man did not have enough strength to beat him. He looked troubled because he had to fight while protecting his younger sister. Sinbad decided to help him. After defeating the monsters, Sinbad encounters the 2 of them, a woman named Pipirika and a man named Hina. Sinbad visited the village where they live, called the Amachek tribe. They don't accept outsiders, but Sinbad can be received because he is a dungeon conqueror. While they were sleeping, suddenly an assassin named Jafar attacked Sinbad. Although he manages to defeat the assassin, Jafar manages to escape with the help of his partner. Hina is jealous of Sinbad's strength and wants to be like him. Therefore, Hina decided to conquer the dungeon to gain power. Knowing this, Sinbad immediately followed him and promised not to let Hina die. Hina had entered the dungeon and met Draggle with a team of assassins. They also attacked Hina. Sinbad immediately helped him and used the power of Jinn Baal. Since they had difficulty fighting Jafar and the others, Hina quickly took Sinbad to safety. While Draggle and the others decided to continue exploring the dungeon, they managed to enter the treasure room. Draggle immediately summoned the Jinn who was there. He was named Vailfur. Draggle offered himself to gain Vailfur's power, but Vailfur refused because Draggle's ambition and determination were not worthy of becoming a king. Sinbad and Hina have arrived there, and Vailfur will choose the king among them if one completes the Minifer cat catching test. Also, one of them must catch him before the time runs out. If not, they cannot get out of the dungeon. Since catching Minifer is very difficult, Sinbad advises them to work together. Instead, Sinbad will not take part in the exam. However, Sinbad had tricked them, and they were angry because Sinbad had dared to lie. But if not like that, they will run out of time and be stuck there forever. Also, Sinbad's determination and ambition are more worthy of being a king, because Sinbad wants to create a new empire that connects to the whole world. After knowing that Sinbad's ambition amazed them, even Hina wanted to go on an adventure with Sinbad. Sinbad also invites them as his friends to rule the world. However, Jafar and his colleagues suddenly received excruciating pain. A witch has used dark magic and caused them to be trapped in a demon's body. Sinbad, with another, must fight to save the 3 of them. At the same time, the witch took Sinbad's sword, which made Sinbad unable to use Baal's power. Barbarossa, Draggle's older brother, says Draggle is a useless pawn. Even Barbarossa marries Serendine, who is the woman Draggle loves. Even though he is desperate, Draggle is determined and will simultaneously take Serendine and kill Barbarossa. Sinbad and Draggle hold back the demon's movement so Hina can launch his strongest attack. Hina also managed to defeat the demon, and Sinbad reclaimed his weapon from the witch. Not only that, Jafar and his colleagues managed to be free from dark magic. However, the black ruck suddenly enters Jafar's body, and the demon rises again. Sinbad tries to pull the black ruck out of Jafar's body. Then upon entering his subconscious, Sinbad meets Jafar, and he manages to save Jafar from the influence of darkness by using the power of Baal. His heroic actions amazed the people around him, and even Valefor acknowledged Sinbad's greatness. They all recognized Sinbad as a king worthy of Valefor's power. After successfully conquering the dungeon, Dragul returns to Partivia and parts ways with Sinbad. However, Dragul was the first to obtain a servant's vessel, so he could also use Sinbad's jinn powers. A few days later, Sinbad forged a trading contract with the Amuchak tribe. Hina's wife, Rurumu, taught them both very strictly to be a good leader and be able to carry out the duties of a merchant. Then they arrived at the Rime Empire, the world's economic center. Their arrival attracted much attention, and the merchandise they carried sold out instantly finished in port. But their activities were immediately stopped by several soldiers. They were not allowed to trade because they had not received permission to trade in that place. All their goods are bought by merchants and resold at very high prices. Although the amount of loss is still unknown, their business will not grow if this continues. Before selling any merchandise, Sinbad had to get approval from the Rime Trade Association. He also sends his fleet to Amuchak to pick up new goods while Sinbad stays there. Then Sinbad met the previous merchant, Harun. Because Harun was amazed by Sinbad's calm nature, Harun gave him some lessons about doing business. They also exchanged information. Even Sinbad talked about himself as a dungeon conqueror and his goal to become a king. Harun explained that setting up a trading body recognized by the Rime Trade Association required 100 gold coins. Harun also challenged Sinbad to collect 100 gold coins in 1 month. If successful, Harun will provide a letter of recommendation to the Rime Trade Association. A few weeks later, Sinbad held a street show. He told the story of his adventures while in the dungeon. Sinbad managed to make the audience happy and earn much money from them. Even Harun was amazed to see the show, so Harun rewarded him with many gold coins. Harun is willing to support him in achieving his dream. It is revealed that Harun is the 12th Balbad king, named Rashid Saluja. The Balbad kingdom is the second largest economic in the world. Sinbad has obtained a trading license from the Rime Trade Association. But Harun said that Sinbad still doesn't have a warehouse to store goods, horse-drawn carriages, and a shop. That's why Harun suggested Sinbad do a theater performance and tell about his adventures there to get a lot of money to make shop. On the other hand, Rurumu has given birth to a boy, and he is named Kikiriku. Sinbad started his theater with a very extraordinary. He uses the power of the jinn to enliven the theater. He made many people admire him until no one in the country didn't know of his existence. Jafar and the others arrived at the empire, and Harun's bodyguard asked Jafar to come to Sinbad's place. He also saw Sinbad doing his theater in the Colosseum. However, Kikiriku disappeared and entered the Colosseum monster cage. Jafar, assigned to look after him, tried desperately to save him. Unexpectedly, Jafar received the power of a servant's vessel, so he managed to defeat the monster with the power of jinn. After that, Sinbad used the money from the show to build a business, so they can do business as they please and sell goods all over the world. They returned to adventure to the kingdom of Sassan to establish trade cooperation because they had high-quality metal. Meanwhile, Rurumu and the others stayed in the Rime Empire to look after the shop. When they entered the city in the Sassan Kingdom, they were even shunned by the surrounding residents. Because the Sassan Kingdom is a holy land that thinks the outside world is dirty. They even refused to cooperate with foreign merchants. Sinbad must earn the trust of everyone in the Sassan Kingdom, but many obstacles roll in his way. The royal soldiers always prevented him from meeting the Night King named Darius Leixus. At night they met the Sassan Knight. He was named Mistra's Leixus, the first child of Darius. Mistra's goal of coming to Sinbad is because he is fed up with his own country. He wants to join Sinbad for an adventure. However, as the son of the Night King, he must devote himself to becoming a Night King. But Mistra's refused and still wanted to go on an adventure. The next day Sinbad met with Yunnan. Yunnan explained that the dungeon had spread all over the world. There are even dungeon conquerors in some other kingdoms. Yunnan asks Sinbad to prepare himself because Sinbad may fight another dungeon conqueror. On the other hand, Mistress challenges all the knights, and he defeats all the senior knights, so that Mistress will also fight the king of knights. He was a dungeon conqueror with incredible defense. Of course, Mistress would not be able to defeat him. However, Sinbad was there to stop the fight. Sinbad challenges Darius. If Sinbad wins, then Mistress will go with him. Not only that, but the Sassan Kingdom must also cooperate with Sinbad. However, if Sinbad loses, Darius is free to punish Sinbad. Darius also accepted the challenge. When the fight started, Sinbad used Jin Ball's equipment. Even though they are fellow conquerors, the difference in their strength is huge. Sinbad took Darius to another place and showed the power that could destroy an empire. Seeing this, Darius admits his defeat. After that, Sinbad explained that there were already many dungeon conquerors in the outside world. The possibility is that there will be a terrible war in the future. Sinbad intends to establish good relations with many kingdoms and the dungeon conquerors to prevent that to create peace in the world. Darius, with Sinbad, returns to the previous place and says he will form an alliance with Sinbad. As proof of the formation of the alliance, Mistress will join Sinbad to aid him in trade or battle. After completing the business in the Sassan Kingdom, they intend to head to the Sky City, named Artemira Kingdom. Hearing this made Mistress and Sinbad even more excited because they were going to the kingdom of the beautiful women. Artemira's kingdom was a remote land, almost untouched and situated at the edge of a long ravine. When they explored the place, they saw a giant bird and a beautiful girl riding it.
Yahoo! すごい! 美人さんです! もし無事にアルテミラに着いたら、お姉さんと楽しいことしましょう。
They have no choice but to climb the abyss and overcome various obstacles to meet a beautiful girl. After walking all night, they arrived at Artemira Kingdom. Most of its citizens were beautiful girls who could ride giant birds. After that, they headed to the palace to meet the queen. Her name was Mira. Mira doesn't want to talk to men and only welcomes women. For her, the man's existence was so they could have children. But Sinbad bravely approached Mira, and it made Mira get very angry.
他の男とは違いません。
何を勘違いしている？この私だ。
Knowing that Sinbad has the power of a jinn, Mira confiscates his sword and disarms all their equipment. As punishment, they were thrown into the bottomless abyss. Before that, Mistress received an offer of night service if he survived the abyss.
もし谷から戻ってこられたら、お姉さんといいことしよっか。ま、どうせ無理でしょうけど。
Because Hina has a tall and muscular body, so he will be taken somewhere else for the girls to check.
すごい体ね。なんてたくましい。
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
The three of them manage to survive after falling from a high cliff. To survive, they eat the flesh of the snakes they catch. As time went on, they got used to their new life. They start their activities at sunrise, then go home to sleep at sunset. Sinbad and Jafar began to get used to life there, but Mistress tried to resuscitate Sinbad and Jafar and reminded them of the purpose of their arrival to the kingdom of Artemyra. In the evening, Mistress found fresh meat fit to eat. It turned out that the Artemyra residents dropped the meat to be brought back by a giant bird to get the gems in the ravine. The male resident, hidden from the town, collects gems and runs the household. At the same time, the women take care of other work. Sinbad got a good idea. He deliberately ate small pieces of meat so that the residents of Artemyra would drop the large pieces of meat. When the big meat is dropped, they get into it. That way, they can get out of the abyss.
Yeah.
Sinbad immediately went to see Mira at her palace. He also tempted Mira to be able to take back the weapon. Unable to accept that she had been toyed with, Mira was very angry and immediately used the Jinn Cerberus equipment to challenge Sinbad. However, because they are both lightning users, their attacks do not affect each other. Sinbad uses Jinn Veil for his equipment, while Mira has three elements, ice, lightning, and fire, thus making it difficult for Sinbad to defeat her. But Jinn Veil for his real strength is that he can control molecules and limit opponents' movement. This ability can slow down the movement of the target. Even though launching as many attacks as possible, still nothing can hit Sinbad. In the end, Mira was defeated by Sinbad. Mira welcomed them back to the palace very hotly. Mira acknowledges Sinbad's ability, so Artemyra officially cooperates with Sinbad and forms an alliance. Then Sinbad explained his dream of allying with many kingdoms and the owners of Jinn powers, so there would be no war between Jinn users. Then Mira explained the existence of the legendary priestess in the Rime Empire. She is a magician who has lived for 200 years, the legendary Magi. A Magi has powerful magic and is nicknamed the Elector of Kings. Knowing this, Sinbad felt that Yunnan was a Magi. After that, they intended to continue their journey. The beautiful girls had returned Hina to them. Hina looked weak because he always played with them. It's not fair! Knowing this made Mistress cry because he was jealous of Hina. Sinbad and Mistress decided to stop by a beautiful girl's place to get rid of sadness, but only macho men were there. The next day, a girl named Parsine Praetimia will accompany them as the Alliance representative. Mira also introduced her daughter, who would one day live in the kingdom of Sindria. After they returned to the Rime Empire, Sinbad felt that his dream of becoming king was getting closer. But there are various problems and separations that Sinbad will experience in the future. And that is the end of the video. Remember to subscribe and like this video, so see you in the next video.